So let me introduce Dr. Kataria. Dr. Kataria is a senior and she's a pass out from Rohtak Medical College, did her MD. She has a lot of publications to her credit and she's senior director for internal medicine in Medanta Specialty Hospital. Today we are honored to have ma'am with us, and she is one of the first doctors who treated COVID positive patients in India. You must have heard that the first private hospital to treat those people from Italy, madam was heading that team. And I read an article which came in one of the uh, printed magazines where I read that how beyond medicine, it was the compassion and talking to those people who were in a huge country who did not even know that they will fall sick, and how madam handheld their journey through the recovery, how she was speaking to them, holding their hands, speaking to the families. So that's the whole humane part of it, and the treatment part of it. And at the time when we did not even know how to handle this crisis, how to treat patients, she took this plunge. मैम आपके यहाँ से पीछे से बैकग्राउंड वॉइस आ रहा है क्या?
Not from my place.
Who's not on mute? Yeah, I think now everybody's on mute. Yeah, so I was telling that at that time when we didn't even know what is the treatment, what will work, what will not work, not sure that if we do now, she took that plunge. So I keep on getting these calls from our people, and ma'am, just to tell you, we are very proud that we are serving all our patients at home across Chandigarh, Delhi NCR, Mumbai, Bangalore, Kolkata, and another 60 cities in the country, where not a single employee has ever said ki I will not do my job, or I'm afraid to do my job. But then there are always concerns around, what if I get infected? What if the patient is infected? What if there is somebody in the home which is infected? What will happen? And that's where I thought let's have you here and listen from you, your experience in how did you go about your journey. So my first question to you, ma'am, is what was your experience in handling COVID patients, and how would you like to explain it, ma'am?
So first and foremost, I would like to applaud all the warriors who are going to homes of the patients and still looking after them. When everybody is trying to, make maximum profit, those who can sell, and art is the service which is still doing at the same thing at the same rate. And I am just a prototype. Anybody in my situation would have done the same. Your boys and girls who are going to sick people's home and looking after them, they are equal warriors as me. So I do not possess any special powers. All of us have the same, we are made of same flesh and bones, and we would do the same thing, which is the right thing to do.
So ma'am, how was your experience in handling this novel coronavirus?
So I am still learning. It is a phase for learning for all of us, and my journey has continued with corona. Still, I have about 25 patients admitted with me in a hospital. So it's not that we done with Italians and we are good now. It is a continuous journey. We all will have to look after the patients. If somebody is not looking after now, they would be required to do so, especially in a hospital settings. So, my concerns and the concerns of your boys and girls is common. It is no different concern. So how I handle it, my simple mantra is that, somebody has to do it. Why not me? How can I dedicate it to somebody? If it is a risky thing, how can I dedicate it to somebody else? One is that. Secondly is that, the thing is also that if you do it properly, you can do it. And sooner or later, it is a pandemic. We will have to all face it. If our own health is good, we are mentally strong. Even if we get the virus infection, we will sail through it. That's what I feel.
Thank you, ma'am. So how did you protect your team and your family during treating, and how you must be doing it now also? So how did you protect them?
So one is that, don't be complacent. Your protection PPE is important. At what level, what type of PPE is required, that depends on a situation. If I am going into a COVID ward, I have to have an N95 mask and goggles and a full gown, and shoe cover and double gloves. So this is what is required when the patient is confirmed COVID. But what kind, and then after that, when you have, in what sequence you wear it and in what sequence you remove it. And after that, doffing, that's called a doffing. Then after shower, after that, and when you come home, you observe some precautions like using a different gate, isolate yourself to a room almost, reduce your interaction with family members, especially if there are elderlies in the house, and put your shoes outside, take a bath, put your shoes, your clothes into the washing bin. These are all the important things which needs to be done. Touch less surfaces as much as possible. Wash your hands. Do not take your face to your hands to your face. So these are very simple things. Everybody knows it, but when you have to do it every day, in and out, repeatedly, then it becomes like more of a habit. You have to do it. So there are precautions when you handle a patient. There are precautions when you go home and you take. So both the things are important.
So, ma'am, we also here, as of now, we have not treated any confirmed COVID test at home, but we have given adequate PPs to all our people, and we are prepared with PP suits and shields and goggles and N95, and we have also trained all our people into donning and doffing of PPs. So I think
absolutely, that's the most important thing. Boys and girls, be it me or be it you, do your donning, doffing properly. Do not take shortcuts. When it is an epidemic, then there is no emergency. If there is a patient to be resuscitated, but you are not protected, protect yourself first. Then attend to the patient.
So, ma'am, when you started dealing with these patients, your team also must be scared because these were confirmed COVID patients. How did
absolutely, absolutely, all of them. And you need a little pep talk every day. Even today, I pep talk my team and my team pep talks me. So we increase the morale of each other.
Great, ma'am. So we had some questions from our people that when do you start suspecting for a case to be tested at home? So when do you think that, no, I think this case might be COVID positive and we need to advise the family to get the testing done?
Okay. All right. So, first and foremost, see, if somebody is confined to home for 1 month and nobody has gone out or mingled with people, come out and door, if this patient gets a fever and cough cold, you should worry less. But if there is some person who is frequently interacting outside and develops a new onset loose motions, throat pain, fever, and cough or breathlessness, one should suspect COVID. So it is the history, whole scenario is important. For example, if there is an elderly couple in the house and one person is sick whom your team is attending to, and the other lady is barely goes out, they have a servant who stays inside the house only. The minimum interaction which they have is the doodh wala comes and puts the doodh, which is also at a distance. Groceries are also delivered at a distance. And then this person, if gets this problem, you should not worry at all. On the other hand, there is a situation where a grandchildren traveled outside, came to the house, and there in the house there are 4 people. No isolation particularly observed between them. They were intermingling. Now this elderly person, if gets new onset fever, cough and breathlessness, you should suspect it and get it done.
Right, ma'am. So what I've understood is that if there is minimum travel history and contact history, we don't need to worry if there is some symptoms coming. But if we have positive travel and contact history, that is the time we need to worry, right, ma'am?
Absolutely, perfect.
If anybody is coming in the home who has a travel history or is frequenting outside, we should tell them not to come near to the patient.
Absolutely. Tell them that the elderly will be at more risk of complications. Please confine yourself to the person who's frequenting outside to 1 room, 1 bathroom, minimal touching of the knobs. And when that person comes out to the house, put shoes in a isolated corner, go to the bathroom, take a bath, change clothes, and then come. And even at this level, the interaction should be minimal.
Yes, ma'am. And this covers that whom to suspect, whom not to suspect, and how to avoid positive contact history. So
yes.
If now our person, our nurse or a physiotherapist or a nursing assistant or a doctor who's going home, if this person becomes symptomatic, then what should we do?
Your own person, the one who works?
Yes, the healthcare provider.
If the healthcare provider becomes symptomatic, immediately advise rest, home isolation, symptomatic treatment, and depending upon the symptoms, test should be done for the healthcare provider. If unfortunately comes out positive, do not worry. All your workforce is mostly young people. They will withstand this infection, no problem. But then the person, all those people who came in contact of this boy or girl in the last 2 weeks should be told that, if the interaction was without mask, for less than 1 meter distance, and for more than 15 minutes, all those contacts need to be notified, and they should also quarantine themselves.
Right.
That could be patient, could be family, but to reduce such incidences, best is, now in the whole of the country we say wear mask. So wear a surgical 3-ply mask all the time, so that your risk is reduced, others' risk is reduced. Then nobody can blame you that, I had an interaction with you and I might get, I had my own protections, you use yours.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, we also get these community-acquired pneumonia cases either on BiPAP or on ventilators or on tracheostomy, whom we are discharging from hospitals.
Mm.
In most of these cases, these patients would already be notified to the government and tested for COVID.
Absolutely.
Now, once they come home, is there a chance that a patient which was negative in the hospital might turn positive at home? And
there is a theoretical chance that when the patient was tested, either the patient was in incubation period and had not manifested by that time, or there is a slightest risk that it was a false negative test, where because none of the test is 100% sensitive and 100% specific. But the chances of that happening are very, very less.
And when should we suspect that a patient of community-acquired pneumonia at home, this is what happens, and then we should suspect that this might be COVID positive? What should be those symptoms?
Now, all the community-acquired pneumonia which are of severe category, which we call SARI, severe acute respiratory infection patients, should be tested for COVID. That is a blanket cover.
Right, ma'am. And that hospitals are already doing before discharging the patients.
Yes.
So we have learned that how do we manage our patients? How do we manage our isolation of our patients? What do we go when we do home? How do we protect our family? We need to have PPEs. We need to have general masking. Another question which comes to us, ma'am, is that what is the role of hydroxychloroquine prophylaxis?
Wonderful question, I would say. Everybody wants to ask that. See, this is a new virus. This is a new disease. I always tell them this, treat it like a new person in your life. How a person would react in a particular different situation, you would get to know when you have experienced that person's behavior few times. So how would COVID react to hydroxychloroquine is the test of time will tell how it behaves in due course of time. But what we know from the studies, and studies keep changing, one study favors and another one comes against it. What I personally believe is that in the lack of anything, in the lack of few more options, this is a fairly good option backed by a theoretical aspect that how it works. It works by immune modulation and it works on the viral replication. So theoretically, it sounds good to me. There is a study which came just 2 days back, which says, it doesn't work and it makes the outcome poor. That I would say that's not a very, very robust study. We need more numbers. You have 18 lakh people affected with coronavirus across the globe, and the study has only 62 participants. So, what I say, my personal opinion is that we can take it. We are doing a trial for 3 months. I am on hydroxychloroquine. As far as the safety is concerned, it is fairly safe medicine, not like a toffee or a salt, but it is a fairly safe medicine. We have a good experience with that. So for healthcare providers, unless we have something better than this, I would suggest let's use it.
Right, ma'am. And that also when you have suspicion of COVID positive patients, because supply itself is short at this time.
Yes, it is not blanket. This is not for everybody. This is only for when you're looking after a COVID positive patient.
Right. That is what I wanted to make people clear, because many of them are not getting the medicine, and people who are getting, they're just popping it up and then having gastritis, which is even worse to have.
have gastritis, loose motions, and even feeling symptoms of scratchy throat, and then make you believe that you got a COVID now.
Right. So you're in a catch. So, ma'am, yeah, you rightly said there have been around 260 studies in the last 3 months itself, and studies as good as 5 patients is also getting published. So the world has gone crazy on that publication.
Oh, we are going to have an information toxicity,
Yeah.
whether it's a good or bad.
So, ma'am, now let's come to testing. So many a times our employees say that we should get tested, or at times when we are going into the home, the people at home asking, is your employee tested, or what is the guarantee that he is not infected? So what could you clarify the myths around testing?
So myths and all that. So those who ask that whether your person is tested or not, then tell them that you need to give me the proof of everybody, including your dog.
Yes, right.
But testing, ICMR has given good proper guidelines of 6-7 conditions where you can get tested. What it says about healthcare providers, all symptomatic healthcare providers. So all your boys and girls who have symptoms like fever, cough, breathlessness, they should be tested because they fall into a healthcare provider category. All asymptomatic healthcare providers who have come in contact with a positive patient without mask for more than 15 minutes with a less than 1 meter distance, they should be quarantined for 2 weeks. And before the quarantine is broken, like before 2 weeks, they should be tested once. These are the guidelines for healthcare providers. So this is when an employer asks this, you can tell them the healthcare providers can be tested under only 2 categories. Either they are symptomatic, so my boy and girl is not having symptoms of upper respiratory tract. Second is asymptomatic, when they have come in contact with the positive patient. So this person has not seen a positive patient in the last 2 weeks. So how do I get him tested? The ICMR will not allow me to get him tested. You tell me how to get him tested, I will test.
Yeah, that's what. And you need a doctor's prescription to get tested.
Absolutely.
People have,
we are 130 million people. If each one of us starts कि मेरा test होना चाहिए, where are the kids? And then doing it once does not suffice. At that time, it tells you that you're not infected right now. What happens after 2 weeks? All of us will want to get tested after 2 weeks also. So some rationalization and some rationing both have to be done.
Right, ma'am. And then there is so much confusion about these rapid tests, which are still not approved by the government. So we get
no test can come into the clinical use before it is approved by the ICMR. So we have to have all the ICMR tested and approved kits only. So maybe in week 10 days to 2 weeks, we might have a rapid test, which can make things easier for us. Especially a patient can be tested more easily, and we know that this is positive or not positive. And in healthcare providers, those who are continuously working in COVID units, you could do an antibody test every 2 weeks just to see that everybody is clean.
Right. So for everybody's knowledge, there are 2 types of tests. One is the RT-PCR, for which you take either the nasal swab or the throat swab,
or both.
And this is the only approved under specific guidelines with prescription of doctor. So if the family is asking something, you have to tell that the doctor has to prescribe, and the doctor has to suffice a form given by the ICMR. It is not that the doctor will just write a prescription and the test will be done. So, ma'am, another thing which happens is that our people, when they're working at times in the hospital also for onboarding patients, or at home, when they go home, their neighbors, their landlords, they discriminate against them. They say, you are working with patients, you will be infected, now you will infect us. What is your advice in that case?
Advice in that case, throw it back on them and be very, very firm. The government is absolutely made it very clear, whosoever X, Y, or Z will discriminate, mentally or physically torture a healthcare provider will go to jail.
Yeah, ma'am, and that's what we also tell them, that dial 112 or you report to the police and they'll come and sort it out. But it's very unfortunate at this time when doctors and nurses and all healthcare providers are the frontline warriors, they have to face this also. We have had.
Imagine, when these very people, when they will fall sick, they will be ready to, fall into your foot. And now they do not want it because you will bring it. And what happens if their own son, grandson, grandchildren coming from somewhere and brings it? Was it a doctor or a nurse or a paramedical staff who brought this virus to India?
Right. And I also tell them that what happens if the person who's discriminating today gets infected? Who will treat that person?
Absolutely. I am saying the same. Then the medical staff becomes like a god to them. Otherwise, they are the devils.
Right. So, ma'am, people also have questions that is the fatality rate post-infection of healthcare providers different from the other subset? Or
no. It is not different. And I think people, what they are referring to is the death of doctors in Italy. But overall, if you look at the total number of cases in Italy and the total number of fatalities in Italy or in any country, I don't think the virus differentiates between medical staff or non-medical staff. The mortality is same actually. It depends on age factors, it depends on comorbidities, all those things, but I don't think it depends on the profession.
Right, ma'am. I am noting down the questions. I've asked the questions as much as I know. If somebody has, किसी के पास और कोई questions हैं तो बताइए. Ma'am, there is one confusion around a asymptomatic healthcare provider that the quarantine period should end on 3 days, 5 days, or 14 days if that person remains asymptomatic.
Even if the person remains asymptomatic, be it healthcare provider or any random contact, it is 2 weeks, no less.
In case of confirmed contact.
Yes, in the contacts of a confirmed patient, and before the quarantine ends, one test should be done.
One test should be done. So somebody is asking, isolation period is of 2 weeks, or it should be more time if we come in contact with COVID-19. So we have given the answer that it has to be 14 days and the person has to test before coming out of it.
Yes.
Ma'am, any idea on number of people getting tested in one day in India, and what is the plan against increasing the same?
I think we have about 15,000 tests being done in India every day. And the plan to increase is that the ICMR is going to use the antibody test on clusters, and work is on to make the antibody test available to all the labs so that they can use for their healthcare providers and otherwise also for patients and all that. And rapid RT-PCR, if it comes, that would also be a welcome move. But you know how to read an antibody test and antigen test is important. So somebody who is in the first 7 days of illness, you will have the virus and less antibodies, so do an RT-PCR. Somebody beyond 7 days, already antibodies are formed, we can do an antibody test. But antibody test will not really tell you whether this person is infective or non-infective. So presumably presume all antigen positive and antibody positive as infected.
Right, ma'am. So, ma'am, what is your views on pooled RT-PCR, where now the government is talking that we will pool the samples and then at least that will do more screening. What is your view on that?
I approve of that view as long as we are having less than 10% positivity. If your positivity becomes more than 10%, you know, this is how we used to do the blood bank. You know, for hepatitis B, C, HIV, you put 10 samples, drop. If it comes negative, that means all 10 are negative. But if one comes positive, then you have to individually test it. So similarly, so if there is more than 10% positivity, so probably if you are pooling, you know, 10 samples, so it will come positive most of the chances.
Right. So I'll just take quickly 2 more questions, ma'am. So people are asking, can asymptomatic people be infected and can they infect other people?
Absolutely, yes to both. Asymptomatic people could be infected themselves, and they can spread the infection further.
And what is the earliest and the latest the symptoms can appear in a patient after getting infected?
Earliest is 5 days and latest is up to 3 weeks.
But after 3 weeks, the chances are
not there.
And chances of recurrence?
Majority of the 95% of the patients would show symptoms by 14th day. That's why the quarantine is of 14 days. But there are few anecdotal reports of cases being reported after 3 weeks. So I'm saying the upper limit is 3 weeks.
So there was a patient admitted with you with the SARI, and the patient recovered. And when you tested the patient, he was negative now. Now this patient goes home. Can this patient again have a recurrence and test positive?
See, there is a 2 scenario. If the person was already symptomatic, because if the patient had SARI, that means he had symptoms at that time. So if those symptoms were because of COVID, the test would come positive. Now there is a situation that the patient had gone with a bacterial infection, and in the hospital he gets incubated with the virus and then comes, and that's an unfortunate situation.
Right. And people are asking me that do we have enough ventilators, and why are people hyping the shortage of ventilators?
That's not a hype, that's a true. For the whole of the country, you know how many ventilators we have? Only 40,000. India has 40,000 ventilators. So you can imagine, and out of all infected patients, 10% would require ventilators. So this depends on if we have cases like if we have 40 lakh cases and beyond.
Yeah, that's why lockdown is so important.
It is. That's our lifeline.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. I think that was a very, very interesting session, half an hour, continuous questions. I'm still selecting the questions, but I think I've covered almost 90% of them. Thanks to you, ma'am. Thanks for motivating our people. They are the true warriors. They face so many problems in reaching to the patient's home. They stay there for 12 hours. Some of our people have stayed there for 72 hours at stretch also, and have been doing a fantastic job at the risk of their own life and their families also.
Yes, yes. I salute them all, but I will suggest them to carry extra face masks and gloves when they're going there and staying there for longer times.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I thank you on behalf of Healthcare at Home and the entire team of Healthcare at Home. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.